Transportation to give us an update on the I-81 viaduct project. I'm joined by Councilor Nave, Councilor Gathers, Councilor Hudson, Councilor Hogan, Scott Butler, Mike Ryan, and Betsy Parmley from the Department of Transportation. We have a PowerPoint and some handouts, and I will hand it right over to the three of you.
Great.
Go for it.
Thank you, Counselor. All right, we're going to kind of click through a PowerPoint that you have in front of you, kind of give you an update on our Phase 1 contracts, give you an update on Phase 2, which will be starting next year, and then some other things that we're doing in the community with health protections, local hire, and others. So we always start with the first. We have 2 phases of work. First phase is to build out the infrastructure we need to remove the viaduct. So that consists of 5 contracts, 1, 2, 3. 1 and 2 are design build, and they are one's in Cicero, the other's in the Valley in DeWitt. Contract 3, which is the yellow, is in the Inner Harbor area. Contract 4 is that blue, creating the new on and off ramps at Krause and reconstructing Krause and Irving Avenue. And then contract 5 is in the heart of the south side, bringing and creating the business loop and bringing it down to grade. That's Phase 1. Phase 2 we'll go through is the reconstruction of 690, some sewer and water improvements along Erie Boulevard and Salina Street, and then 7 is a sister contract to 3, and 8 is the removal of the viaduct and the build out of Almond Street. So contract 1 up in Cicero, we are as close as we can be to completion of this phase. So the interchange is open and operational. We have a few little minor things to clean up before the first of the year, and then we'll come back in the spring to finish a small bridge on South Bay Road and finish that work. But most of, and if not, phase, contract 1 is mostly complete. So that first one that we started in February-ish of 2023 is now at its completion. Contract 2, which is the southern interchange area in the Valley, we're getting closer and closer each day to having other parts of the infrastructure open. As many of you know, we've been putting in roundabouts at both ends of Brighton Avenue. Those are open and not fully operational, but they are open and operating. We have 3 of the 4 legs of the new East Glen open. These are just some images just so you can see some of the infrastructure from when we started in the fall of 23, removing that spaghetti in the middle of now. We're getting close to having 480, what is currently 481 to 81 South. That should be open hopefully by the first of the year, if not pretty soon after.
And that has to be complete before you can start the actual tear down up closer to the city?
Correct.
Okay.
The other one, and we just want to highlight something about East Glen for all of you so you're aware. As you can see, next to Jaquith was the old bridge and the old East Glen Avenue. We've obviously shifted that on this image, obviously shifted it to the left. That will produce an action by the Planning Commission and the council to accept that move. Just to put that on your radar, that will be coming as we get closer to completing this contract, which we believe the city or the administration has decided they'll abandon and create East Glen, old East Glen into a driveway. New East Glen will remain East Glen. Moving on, and by the way, if you have questions, just stop us. Contract 3 is the Inner Harbor. This is where we're replacing the Bear Street, Court Street, and Spencer Street bridges, fully reconstructing North Clinton Street. Mike, help me out. What else are we doing?
So we're fully reconstructing North Clinton Street. Gannett is also being pretty much fully reconstructed. The new Port Place.
Yep.
We're realigning where Court Street Bridge, how it comes in at a very large angle today. We're straightening that out, as you can see in that picture, and that's going to connect to the original alignment of Court Street or Court Place. We're also replacing the Butternut Street Bridge and the Spencer Street Bridge in this contract.
We're also removing all those little slip ramps you see along there. We're condensing all of those into one location to North Clinton Street between Court Street and Bear Street.
You don't have a picture of Franklin Street, Butternut Street ramp, and how will look in the future? You know what I'm talking about, because it's always been that.
I think this one shows it to you, Counselor.
So there'll be, so if you're, we look about, of course, pedestrian and walking.
Yep.
Sure.
So be able to transverse without having.
Correct.
Take your life in hand. because
Yes.
you're not-
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, there's shared use paths that we're constructing all along Clinton Street. So they'll be essentially from downtown, because we're gonna extend Clinton Street out to Butternut. It doesn't exist today, we're gonna do that in a future contract. So you'll be able to take that and you'll cross Spencer Street, then you get connected back to the north side, essentially all the way up to Hiawatha. You'll
Correct.
be able to walk or ride a bike,
So
yeah.
each bridge, so Spencer Street will have a shared use path, so you can walk with snow storage as well. So it'll be wide enough to handle both bikes and pads.
Franklin neighborhood, street
Yep.
neighborhood and all that.
Yep.
I mean, it's very difficult to get to like the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
So Scott, when will Spencer Street open? Are we looking at end of January? January?
We're working our tails off to have it open before the end of the year, right now. We were hoping the 19th, but it's looking like it's getting pushed a little bit closer to the holiday. But we do plan to try our best to have it open by the first of the year, as well as the new on and off ramps to Clinton Street, coming southbound and going southbound.
And before, I wanted to ask you, how are we doing with Lodi Street and Burnett Ave? When I go by there, it's still it's bumpy
Yeah, and
road.
when we get to contract 4, we can go into a little bit more detail, but, we are doing the best we can. Obviously, winter hit us a little bit sooner than we were probably expecting.
Sure.
Obviously, we live here.
Well,
we
I can
understand
always look for another part-time job.
Yeah, but
Guys?
we are. That one is progressing. We had an issue on the actual Lodi Street Bridge itself.
All right.
That's delayed us a little bit, but we are moving along as fast as we can.
Okay.
We also replaced all of the water lines along Clinton Street in this project.
Right, I just wanted to add that. So in all the contracts, not only are we putting in sidewalks, shared use paths, trees, in contract 3, there's decorative lighting to the city's standards, a lot of water mains, sewer mains, all of that old infrastructure that's underground that, is pretty old, that's all getting replaced. Whether we're impacting it or not, our work we know would be impactful, so it's all getting replaced.
And all our city departments have been aligned.
Oh,
exactly.
Yes.
100%,
Absolutely,
yeah,
yep.
100%.
We have biweekly coordination meetings with
The
DPW.
arborist and all that.
Oh,
Yes,
yes,
yes, we do.
yes.
Yep.
Very close coordination, yeah. Including consideration of what the designs will be for future maintenance. So we're keeping an eye towards that because we don't want to install things that the city ultimately will struggle to maintain because of the sheer magnitude of it. So those
Magnitude,
conversations.
but having the proper equipment. and all
Right,
that,
right. So those conversations have been right along the whole time.
So like Mike mentioned, this is another one to put on your radar as well. Like Mike mentioned, we are straightening the Court Street Bridge, so it'll connect between Harbor View Liquors and the furniture store on a street that used to be called Court Place. So we will be taking the action with the administration to start that process as well. The naming process and turning the street technically back on. So
So northbound.
Sounds right.
Those ramps northbound, you're consolidating how many into one? So we're losing that Pearl Street, that weird ramp there that merges in crazy, and then the next one, those two that
yes, yep,
barely merge.
correct.
Right, okay.
Correct.
So to clarify, so this contract, to kind of simplify it, this contract, contract 3 in the Inner Harbor right now, is really focused in the southbound direction. So we're creating the new on and off ramps at North Clinton, but that removes the, what is that, the?
Kutztown and
Yes,
Spencer
yeah,
and then Ganesh.
exactly. So in the northbound direction, I think that's what you were referring to is Pearl Street. So the Pearl Street on-ramp will actually still be there, but we're removing the, help me out here, guys.
North State?
Yes.
No, yes,
North
sorry.
Star.
The
Yeah.
messy one.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes,
that one.
yes, the closely spaced. So I just wanted to clarify that.
So again, like Betsy mentioned with, creating shared use paths, sidewalks, city lighting, as you guys have it written. So that's, this is a looking southbound on the new on and off ramps at Clinton Street and Clinton Street with a new sidewalk, the new lighting that has been installed. To advance a little bit, there's trees there now. There's trees there now. On the other path, this is in front of Destiny Arms. We've actually built a shared use path on the one side of the roadway near the old coin laundromat. Contract 4, this is where we're, punching through and creating new on and off ramps at Kraus. We have opened the new Kraus eastbound onto 690 and have subsequently closed McBride Street. Those were one-for-one swaps. That'll also take, when we open the new 690 westbound off-ramp at Kraus, we'll close the Townsend off-ramp as well. So those are all one-for-one swaps. The basic gist of what we're doing on contract 4 is we're obviously building the new on and off ramps to go east and west onto 690, but also we're reconstructing Kraus and Irving Avenue, extending Irving Avenue all the way through from Fayette to Erie Boulevard, which doesn't exist today, as well as turning both Kraus and Irving into two-way streets up to That'll also be an action that needs to be take place sometime in the fall of next year to turn it to two-way.
So addressing your question about the Lodi Street Bridge, so currently that on-ramp from Kraus, it's a little short. We're always looking to make, tweaks to make sure the traveling public is safe. Once that Lodi Street Bridge work is done, which we're fighting against the season right now. It's tough to do a concrete deck in the middle of winter, although we have ways to do it. Once that's open, then that will be a full run out of an on-ramp that you would expect on 690. So right now, it's just really in that work zone setup.
And as we said, all of the contracts we have inside the city, we're making major infrastructure improvements. So installing a new storm trunk line across Erie Boulevard was a major part of that work. Installing new city water lines in areas that we're impacting. This is a major part of these contracts as much as it is the roadways that we're reconstructing, the sidewalks and so on, which will also provide a great benefit on Onondaga Creek and the Metro treatment plant. Contract 5, this is the big contract where we start to bring and remove the interstate and bring it down to grade level, starting at Colvin Street, building our roundabout at Van Buren. Just some images of what we're doing. So to your left on these images, or your right on these images, excuse me, is current 81 north and south. We had to kind of move and shift the traffic over so we can build the new entrance into the city. And so what you can see next to the railroad tracks is the excavation to build the new business loop coming northbound into the city of Syracuse. We're also moving a railroad bridge. We're also building a roundabout. And we're also reconstructing major water and sewer along Colvin Street.
Scott?
Yes,
I want
sir.
to go back. You said we're removing railroad bridges?
This particular contract, there's a railroad bridge over
Right.
by Fineview, and so we have to shift it to the west.
Okay, so it's not going to affect the tracks at all?
No, sir.
Oh, okay.
No, sir.
We have to actually build a temporary railroad alignment to keep the tracks, to keep the trains moving, essentially.
Who's the railroad company?
New York Susquehanna.
Okay, so you're working on them. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
And now we'll move on to our phase 2.
Thanks, Scott. So phase 2, we're currently in design with this right now. We've been working pretty closely with the city, like I mentioned, our biweekly working groups. So contract 6, what we're really doing under this one is we're reconstructing 690 from Leavenworth Ave all the way over to Irving. We're also going to remove the connections from 690 to 81. So all those bridges start to come down under this contract. Then we're going to reconstruct the West Street interchange. So that whole area is we won't have that large retaining wall anymore. It's gonna be, West Street and Genesee Street is gonna be just an open intersection with a signal, no retaining wall. So it'll really kind of start connecting the communities back together. We're also going to reconstruct the Pearl Street on-ramp that we talked about a minute ago. And that's going to be the on-ramp that's going to remain, and the State Street one goes away. We'll also, under this contract, extend Oswego Boulevard to intersect with Erie Boulevard. So that'll be a way that you're going to now get off of Business Loop 81 in the future. And then Pearl Street is also going to extend all the way down to Erie Boulevard, and that'll be the way that you enter Business Loop 81 in the future. And then we're going to reconstruct all of Erie Boulevard, and then we're going to Erie Boulevard all the way over to Almond Street, and then a future contract will pick up from there. We'll also, under this contract, put in the new interchange at Irving Ave. So this is finishing what's being done under contract 4 for creating that new interchange that Scott showed a minute ago. So we'll put in a new bridge at Irving and the new on and off ramps at that location. So that new interchange will be fully complete under this contract. There's also a significant amount of city streets that are going to be reconstructed, water lines that are going to be reconstructed, and their sewer lines that are going to be reconstructed under this one as well. We'll also be adding shared use paths and some bike lanes in different areas as well. And along, right now we have Onondaga Creek Walk, which is on the east side of the creek. We're going to add another creek walk on the or on the west side. So that's going to help people from the west side be able to use that infrastructure. There'll be some signalized crosswalks across West Street so you can get over there safely.
What about lighting? Are you going to put lighting?
Yep, there'll be lighting, decorative lighting that meets all the city requirements throughout the whole contract and on the creek walk.
And also lighting under the bridges and the
Yes.
parking lots.
Yep.
Yep, following the city's lighting requirements.
So that is contract 6. Oh, I guess I should mention too that there's also a significant number of trees that are going to be planted. There's also a lot of planting beds that we've been coordinating with the city arborist and the Parks Department on the species types, the locations, all of that.
And just want to add, so this is for the past 9 months probably. We have been working every 2 weeks. We meet with city staff, different agents, different groups within the city to really work out those finer details. So whether it's a 5-foot buffer for snow storage, how wide the sidewalk is, what the connections are, what with Vision Zero in mind, things, different things that are very important to the city. So we're right lockstep with the city on all of those finer elements, because although a lot of this is reconstruction of I-690, like Mike mentioned, a lot of it is also on local city streets. So we have been, for months now, going through those designs block by block.
So, and while we're doing the reconstruction of 690, we're going to be able to maintain traffic throughout the construction in the westbound direction. The eastbound direction will have to be detoured for a period of time, about 1.5 years, which is the red line on that slide right there.
So I'll add to that, though. Sorry,
No.
So one thing that's kind of unique to this contract is similar to contracts 1 and 2. It's a design-build contract. So basically, what that means is we get our design up to about 30-40% complete, and then we basically hand it over to design-build teams. They put their proposals together, and they also present what we call alternative technical concepts. What those are really innovative designs to keep the project on schedule, save money, it takes into consideration the traveling public. So we are still in that process, but what we are seeing is these design builders are coming up with some really innovative ways to do this contract. So I just wanted to couch that a little bit, that this is, these are the things that, we know are happening, and the way we can do it is we make it what we call directive. So if the design builder wants to change it, they have to ask us. So we are still fully in control, with everything we've been working on in the last 9 months, but there might be some changes coming this spring when we learn about officially what they're doing to manage traffic especially. So I just wanted to make note of that.
So it's a plan that evolves?
It doesn't, evolve, I guess you could say it
yeah, that's a
evolves.
good way to
Over
say
a
it.
short period of time, though, during the procurement period. With our review, we are very, we get hundreds of questions from the design builders. We have to answer the questions. They send us proposals for us to review. We comment back. We accept, we reject, things like that.
Now, where does I think obviously you've had computer models regarding traffic.
Yep.
Where does it show the traffic goes? I'm particularly interested when the grid's down, where does that traffic go that normally comes like south to north of the city?
Sure, that's a great question. So for the whole project,
City
so.
councils love hearing
So when the project's all done, is that what you mean? Like when everything is said and done? So one of the things our traffic studies showed from existing patterns is, it's like the majority of the traffic traveling on 81 in downtown Syracuse is destined for these places in downtown Syracuse. So that's where the new Colvin off-ramp, northbound, will provide an access point to the backside to the university. The gateway to the hill from 690 at Krause and Irving will be an access point. The West Street interchange will be an access point. And then you can see it in this picture, the Business Loop 81 at 690 and the Pearl and Oswego ramps that Mike mentioned, that's another access point. So
So it doesn't show, I should say, south-north traffic.
Yeah, we also look at
It
that.
doesn't have west and through State Street, Salina Street and all that. That traffic that normally comes in from the south. The computer models,
oh, no, it covered this
The whole
whole,
thing.
it covered all of Onondaga County, actually. So that traffic going through, it'll most likely use 41. But when you say the east-west,
well, it's traffic into the city. I
Sure.
mean, obviously, will they hop
Right.
off, and go around to State Street, Salina Street and all
Sure.
that? That's the
Yes.
idea.
Yes.
yes,
So
yes.
how much more traffic will those particular streets get?
So our analysis showed that of all the intersections, so we grade the operation. Traffic analysis, that's how it kind of decides what's good and what's not good. A is good, F is no good. Out of all the intersections we looked at, and I think it was over 270 intersections, they would all fall around a level of service C or D, which is perfect for an urban area. That's what you want to see because it's not gridlock per se, but it's that slowing down of traffic. It's the sweet spot for an urban area. So there's no areas that we expect there to be so much additional volume that you're going to see impacts to some of these corridors. And that's the beautiful thing of Syracuse, in my opinion, because you have so many different east-west corridors that people can find different ways. I hope that answers that question.
We'll still evolve.
We will evolve.
So Mike, 690, are we replacing the Midler Ave Bridge?
Midler,
Or we go that
No,
far
No,
east?
we do
No,
not
we
go
do
that
not.
far east, no. No, we end right at Kraus.
That bridge could use some work.
Yeah, we,
While you're
yes.
at it,
While you're at it, that bridge could use some work.
We can't do everything in the 81 project.
I'll keep asking.
So with all the reconstruction, we have some advanced environmental commitments, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But for this contract, or for all of our contracts, we go through and we identify a lot of the old historic buildings, and we make sure that we go and have vibration monitoring done so we don't damage any buildings, and we do condition surveys. And also during the removal, we'll have demolition curtains up so concrete doesn't inadvertently go into a building. It also dampens the noise as we're removing bridges, things like that. So that is Contract 6. Contract 6A was originally part of Contract 6, but it's a stormwater trunk line. We decided for permitting reasons and a lot of utilities, we decided to pull it out of Contract 6 and make it its own contract. So you can see the colored path right there. That is where this storm trunk line is going to go. And that storm trunk line is conveying all of the storm water from the road. So whenever it rains, it goes into the gutters, and then it needs to get discharged somewhere. Today, it goes into a combined system, and a lot of it makes it out to the metro plant. So it needs to be treated before it can be discharged. This, with stormwater, you don't necessarily need to do that. So we're separating it all. So this is going to take out about 85 million gallons of water that's going to the metro plant a year. So that's a big community benefit for everybody. So, and then as we're replacing we're installing the new storm trunk line, we're also taking liquid out of the sanitary sewers. So less goes to the metro plant, and we're also reconstructing sanitary sewers as we go. We're also replacing the water lines in this contract as well. What else do we have going? Yep. So, and this one, we've also been coordinating with the city as well. Like I said, with all the contracts, we're going to reconstruct all of those city streets along the way. So, most of them are from the curb lines, and then many we're also redoing the sidewalks and creating shared use paths as well. So, we'll go to the next slide. This kind of shows the scope or the magnitude of those two contracts. So contract 6, we're replacing about 1.5 miles of the interstate, but it's really 15 lane miles of roadway because it's three lanes in each direction. We're reconstructing 25 local streets, 37 bridges are being removed, 28 new bridges are being installed, 17 ramps are being removed. The combined sewer overflow, I didn't mention, but that is a big part of contract 6. It currently is underneath 690, so we need to move it out from underneath 690. Then we have the detour. Then contract 6A, it's about a mile length of storm trunk line that we're installing. And this is really a continuation of the storm trunk line that we saw pictures of in contract 4. Then contract 8 will also pick up and install that. So we'll have a separated system throughout downtown. About 5 local streets are being reconstructed, 2.5 lane miles. We're installing 9 new signals under contract 6A. Contract 6 has, I forget the exact number, but it's 20-something signals that are being replaced. We've been working with the DPW on that. So everything will be to standard. And the storm trunk line, it's fairly large. So it's a 8.5 by 12-foot box, and it's about 20 feet down. So this is a pretty significant excavation that we're going to need to do along that route. And we are coordinating with all of the businesses as we do this, and we're going to phase it in a way so not everybody's all impacted at once. We're just going to go a couple blocks at a time and work our way through it. And we are going to avoid, say, tree lighting. We don't want to do any work downtown at that point in time, so we'll have restrictions in our contract so we don't do those works at those critical times.
And you're working with folks from the nation, right, to
Yep.
their historical assets.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, so all of our contracts have archaeological monitoring, including Native Nation monitors, so they're there when we're excavating.
So those are the 2 contracts that are really in design right now. Contracts 7 and 8. We have not started our final design process. We are starting that very shortly, and those actually coming up in the new year is probably we'll start having more conversations with the cities, with our working groups, to start going through those details. So contract 7 is really kind of the sister contract to contract 3. So we're going to now start reconstructing all of 81 from about Butternut north. And then we're going to start consolidating all those ramps on the northbound side of 81. So once we're done with the reconstruction of 81, we'll have 4 lanes heading out of the city and 3 lanes heading into the city. We'll also have to reconstruct one of the bridges up by the mall, which is 81 southbound. It's over CSX, Lake Creek, and Harborside Drive. We're also going to rehabilitate the bridge. It's Hiawatha over 81. I think the bridge deck needs some work, so we'll fix that while we're doing this project as well. We will also add shared use paths in this contract, so we're going to pick up where contract 3 left off. So once we cross the Spencer Street Bridge, we'll go down Sunset and then ultimately out to Hiawatha, and we'll create an overlook over by Lodi. So contract 8, this is where we reconstruct all of Almond Street, finish removing the viaduct. We'll reconstruct a portion of Harrison and Adams Street, and we'll convert those from the one-way sections to 2-way. And we'll also install the remainder of the trunk line on Almond Street, and we'll have our bike lanes, sidewalks to make that complete street design for the new Almond Street. And we also have the enhanced environmental commitments on this project, on this contract as well.
So when you get down to the Burke Street entrance,
Yep.
you're working with SHA?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, ma'am.
Yep.
Very closely on a bunch of different things.
Right.
Not only understanding, how the residents walk throughout the neighborhoods, but also, making sure that we have the proper protections to make sure people don't have to be displaced while we do our construction.
Okay, and then I heard somebody talk about the barrier that you put up where the curtain or whatever it is
Yep.
to minimize the noise and.
We can show you what that, we have a photo of that, we can show you when we.
Yeah. And we're doing that under contract 5 as well. Once we, because contract 5, we'll start to remove the southern portion of the viaduct so we can build a roundabout. And we're starting all of those enhanced environmental
Scott,
commitments there as well.
can you go over where it said BL 81? Is that the one that's going to go a lower
Yep,
mileage?
yep,
Okay, so if I'm on 81, I want to get to the Park Street.
Yep.
Instead of going over the bridge, so there is another,
yep.
is a direct lane.
Yep, so you'll go, where now you go kind of along the old retaining wall.
Right.
We'll have a new on-ramp on contract 7 that comes up over, and you'll exit under that on-ramp to go to Park Street and so on if you're going north.
By the regional market.
Yep.
So if I'm coming like from Pearl Street.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And it'll still be from the Pearl Street on-ramp, it'll still be high-speed heading out of the city, kind of like it is today. So it'll be 55 miles an hour north of Butternut Street.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So, Counselor Hudson, this is where we're talking about our enhanced commitments. So one of the things we're doing for all the bridges is we're removing the paint before we remove any of the structures. So this is a photo of what we consider Class B containment. So we encapsulate the bridges, go in, remove any of the flaking and loose paint, right? Dispose of it properly with steel drums and so on to the proper disposal sites. But this also keeps it contained within one particular spot. So we'll go through when we start removing the viaduct when we start removing the viaduct, this is what you'll see in those sections. So like you said, around Burt Street and so on. The other thing we'll do is while we remove the viaduct, right, saw cut and other things, we'll also have a construction curtain that's raised and comes down to minimize dust, noise, and other particulates going where they shouldn't be going off of our site.
And I know this is a little different question, but think about, all the people that's lived there for
Yeah.
all these years with all the lead and all the, fumes and all that stuff. Is the state going to do something to remediate that?
So this is one way we're going to mitigate that. The other thing we're doing is water is our friend in a lot of these areas. So I think if you were in the neighborhoods now, you'll see a lot of these types of water trucks going out to tamping down dust and keep particulate to our construction site. We're trying to dampen noise as well. So when we remove the Spencer Street Bridge, instead of using a big hoe-ram jackhammer, we used shears and things of that to minimize noise. The other thing we have is we have noise and air monitors throughout our project. So we have specific spots throughout the project where we're monitoring the noise in the air to make sure that our job is not making its way into people's homes and into the neighborhood. So that's a picture of one right there that we have on the corner of Krause and Water Street. We have 13 of them up now, 9 along our Project 5 limits. So we have one in Wilson Park, 2 on both sides of the school, some up by the campus area, another one on the opposite side by Toomey Abbott. So we know, so we can kind of understand when we're dismantling the bridges and doing our work, that we're not negatively impacting the neighborhoods more than we should.
Than we already have, and so that
Correct.
was my question. I
Yep.
guess I needed to reroute the question.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do for the folks that's already suffering from respiratory issues
Yep.
because the highway was there? What are we doing?
Great question. So one of the things that we've done, well, first off, we have tacky mats that we're distributing throughout the neighborhoods so to minimize dust going into people's homes. The other thing we've been working on very closely with the New York State Health Department is creating not only tip sheets for people to minimize the dust, minimize the allergens making their way into their homes. We've also been working with the poison control line to have a hotline for folks. So if they have a respiratory ailment and they feel as though our construction is creating a problem
Or not just the construction, the previous highway.
Right. So if they have that, they can call this hotline, which is the poison control number, right? They will talk to a registered nurse. That person will help them through their ailment. If they need to see a physician and don't have primary care, they will be referred to Syracuse Community Health Center, where someone will triage them and take them through and find them the proper solutions to the ailments that they're going through.
I could hop in for one. President Hudson, I just want to say also, I think part of what President Hudson was asking, also long-term, like post-construction. I think Scott's kind of talking about the construction. Post-construction, while it's impossible to know definitively, the EIS projects roughly, and Betsy, you can correct me on this, a 30% reduction in the environmental hazards that are the pollutants that are presented, because diesel trucks in particular, while they only make up 7% of the traffic, they make up about 30% of the toxins and pollutants that cause the respiratory problems. So by rerouting a lot of the diesel trucks on what will be the new 81 and not going business loop 81, you'll have a great reduction in the amount of pollutants that get into the community. And so the number that's, it's currently about 30-40%, that tips the scale towards environmental injustice. By reducing it by 30-40%, we expect a large reduction in the respiratory problems and heart disease that's in the corridor. Is that all accurate, Beth?
Yeah, everything.
Just wanted to chime in on that one. So you can expect great reductions in the respiratory problems for the neighborhood. Long term.
Long term, okay, because that's what I'm looking at from the last 50 years to now, the long term.
Another thing that we have on all of our contracts, including our health commitments and our health mitigations, is a local hire specification, which is for residents living inside the city of Syracuse zip codes, as well as the Onondaga Nation. This is attached to all of our contracts, and so some of the data that we have up here is, 15% of the work hours are to be performed by city residents, and as you can see, we have our 5 contracts up. 17. When you just look at some of the numbers, the percentage of the workforce and the work hours, we're in the ballpark with a lot of those numbers. The stat that I really like to show and just show our commitment to doing this is our next slide. To date, since we started this contract in 2023, we've had 288 people from either the Onondaga Nation or the city of Syracuse work in some form on one of our 5 contracts. I can tell you that of that 288, 188 of them have been retained and been continuously working throughout the years. And then you can see by craft, because we break things out by different crafts and how we do our work, you can see how the other, labor unions and other crafts are being accomplished within the local hire and with male, female, and non-white. The other thing, and I think just to point out, we have 2 tiers within our local hire. The first tier is living in the city of Syracuse or the Onondaga Nation, and the second tier is living in one of those zip codes and also having one of the 6 nationally recognized barriers to employment. And as you can see, of those 288 folks who've worked on our contracts, 96 of them have had a barrier to employment. So, really trying to cut down and give people the opportunity they asked us for during our NEPA process. Next, just want to put on your guys' radar, one of the things that we've been going out into the public now to talk about is we're trying to not just have drab gray walls throughout the city of Syracuse and so on. So we have various mural designs that you can see. We're taking consumer feedback on those now to have the neighborhoods tell us what they want to see, what things we can put on the walls that obviously will be there long after we're finished with construction. So, we're taking consumer feedback now on what those look like, different historical figures, different themes, so on and so forth. On the north side, the same. We're trying to find ways we can dress up the walls as you come in and out of the city of Syracuse in various locations. So if you were to go to our website, you would be able to comment back to us on things that you might want to see on certain areas of the interstate. Krause Ave, we're looking to pay homage to the former railroad with certain things and kind of the neighborhoods that connected under and around the neighborhood, around the railroad as well as a part of contract 4. So again, these are all available. Looking for feedback from not only you all, but the community writ large. So please let us know things we can add or subtract as we go along with our design.
With using local artists if we can.
We're still pursuing that. This is somewhat unprecedented for New York State DOT, to be perfectly honest, having artwork on our infrastructure. So we're looking to see what we can do. We did meet with the Public Art Commission to kind of figure out how that process would look so we can inform our executive. So I would say that's a work in progress. But, I will stress that these ideas that we just showed, they are concepts. They look very finished, but that's so people can understand how detailed they really can be and what the potential is. But certainly would love to hear very, specific ideas from people to help us do a
Are
better
these
job.
artists local? Have we looked at local artists? Because I know we brought this up in another neighborhood meeting.
We're still trying to see if we can use local artists and how that would work with the DOT.
Okay, thank you.
And then obviously, this is a major construction project happening across the city of Syracuse. So we are out and about everywhere we possibly can be. If you have other places you'd like us to be, just let us know, and we will do our best to make sure we're talking about the project and informing the neighbors about how our construction works and what we're doing. The other thing is, we always like to plug, we have our own app, I-81 Connect. If you're wondering what's going to be closed when or how it is, we push out notifications for different traffic pattern changes that we have throughout the day to inform the traveling public about where our construction is and is not taking place. And that sums up, so if there's any further questions, but that sums up the report we have for all of you today.
Anybody? I'm good.
All right.
Thank you all for coming very much.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it, we really do.
Joe Barry.
Yes. You bet.